Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Generally Speaking podcast. I'm your host, Robert Gassman, and today I have one of my teaching colleagues here at Herkimer College. We have Dr. Lisa Elwood, who is one of our outstanding faculty teaching in the English area. Lisa, thank you for agreeing to be on the podcast today. It's nice to see you.
Of course, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're really grateful when people want to come. I've been trying to interview people on our campus, people that I think are interesting, people that I think other people should know more about. And today it's you. So
Yay.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? I know this stuff, but I know you've been here for a while. Tell us a little bit how long you've been at Herkimer College.
So I'm in my 23rd year, I believe, 22 years. I think it's the 23rd year. And I never thought I would, be here 20 years later, but you kind of get sucked in and you love it. And then it's part of you and you love coming up over that hill and seeing the fog, as it's lifting. It's just a beautiful campus, and the students draw you in, of course, because they're just from all over the world, and while it's a local community college, we attract people from Australia and England and even other states as far as, Tennessee and Florida. It's just a wonderful conglomeration of people from all over the globe, and I'd never thought I'd get that at a community college. I'm really excited that we still have that here as part of our, attraction. So I've never left. 22, 23 years later, I can't do the math. And I'm from here, actually, and I left here saying I would never live here. To small towns, and now I've made a life here and a career here, and I'm really glad I did.
Echoing a lot of the things you just said, and I'm always amazed at the reaction of people who ask me, well, what are your students like at the college? And I tell them how diverse the student body is, because we have people literally from all over the globe, and they really can't believe it because we are a small, rural community college located in upstate New York, and I think that has a feel and a vibe to it. But when you actually get on campus and meet the students, it really is one of the reasons why we continue to work here.
Right.
A lot of the same things you just said. I came here a long time ago as well, figuring I'd be here for a couple of years and move on and, take my bandwagon elsewhere.
Yeah.
But life happens, and here we are. So
Thank goodness.
You said you're from around here. Where are you from originally?
I was born and raised in Midville, New York, and now I live in Newport, New York. And I'm kind of on the outskirts of the village, so it's kind of nice. We've got nice privacy. We've got a beautiful trail that leads from Newport all the way to the West Canada School, and I couldn't be happier having that walking path all the time. And then I come down here and I work all afternoon. It's a good life. It's a good life to live in a small town and be from the small town where you know everyone, everybody knows your name, kind of thing.
Yes.
It's nice. And I think at Herkimer County Community College we have the same atmosphere here because people come here and they stay. You and I are prime examples of that.
Of that.
What are
That's
you?
true.
How many years have you in?
This is my 36th year of teaching at the college, so I stayed and stayed,
Nice.
and they can't get rid of me.
There you go.
But I also always tell people just about the same thing. We didn't rehearse this. I like everybody I work with. Some more than others.
Right.
But I like everybody I work with, and this really is an extremely friendly place to work, and I think that reflects well on the students. I hope the students find the same thing while they're here.
Right.
I think we're very accommodating staff and faculty, and if you've got a question or a problem, somebody's right there willing to help you.
Well, how many students have you had turn into friends?
Into friends. Well,
Yeah.
bunches of them.
See, me too.
Bunches of them.
Me too. We have lunch. Sometimes we meet for drinks. Sometimes, they end up staying in the area themselves, and you have, a friend for life. I didn't know that either about the community college. It's a great place to work for all those reasons.
First day I ever taught here, April 26th, 1990, and I made one of my really good friends on that very first day. If you've ever listened to rock radio in the Utica area, you might know Genesee Joe Trissolino. So he and I bonded on the very first day of class. He was one of my students. I was the teacher. We bonded over the death of Stevie Ray Vaughan, because it had just come out, that news,
Yeah.
and he was the great blues guitarist player, and we were devastated, and so we bonded immediately over that. So,
Lifetime friendship right there.
yeah, unbreakable.
See?
So to your point, yeah, I've made a lot of friends out of the students and the staff, and it's just a great place to work. So speaking of the students, you've been here for a few years. How has the student body changed, or the student mind, or the average student? How have they evolved or changed Because they're always 18, 19, or 20 for the most part,
Right.
most of the classes. How have those people changed?
I teach English classes here, so I get their writing and I get their reactions to the literature that I assign. So I'm seeing more empathetic groups of people than I've ever seen before, where it seems like they really care about each other, about what's being said, about the literature. I don't do a whole lot of, psychology where they're talking about themselves. It's more, their reactions to a poem or their feelings about things that they're writing about. And critical thinking is always involved, but having that critical thinking aimed at them really has, over the years to me, the students have become a lot more thought-provoking, a lot more they just seem to be at a deeper level than I remember 18-year-olds 20 years ago, where they care about the world, they care about the environment, they care about each other. We actually, there was a couple of students where I almost cried with them last semester, where we got some really bad news and we had a class discussion about it. And I asked them, well, I don't need to tell you what I think. I want to hear what you think. And how are you feeling? Are you scared? Do you want to talk about it? Do you want to just, let this group know? And I don't think I've ever had a classroom like that. So that's where I've seen it evolve, where I just think all of the social media that we, throw at them and we blame them, you're on it too much. I think that has shifted for them, where they actually have global access to each other and to how they think about things. They're making TikToks about how they think about things. They actually, for me, I see a lot more sympathetic, empathetic groups of students coming through. And I love it because I like kindness.
They have a tremendous access to information now, and that wasn't always the case. And I'll go back to when I first started teaching here back in the Stone Age. I always felt like then that I had to be the supplier of the information or the supplier of facts or the supplier of valuable information. And that's not true anymore because it's all out there. So I find that my role has kind of become just to try to curate and to try to identify and draw circles around piles of information that I think are useful or valid or good, and let people know that that's how I think about it.
You mean conspiracy theories? Are you talking about that?
Gosh, no, absolutely not. But, with access to unlimited information means access to almost unlimited garbage.
Right.
There's a lot of garbage out there. And you said critical thinking. Talk about teaching critical thinking skills to students and how important that is right now.
Yeah. So I'm teaching college writing right now, where this is, it starts from the very first essay, where I get them to self-reflect about something of their past. My theme for this first essay is connections. So I'm trying to get them to think critically about their own upbringing. What were you taught to think and how to think? And then you have to go and you have to research other ways of thinking and other ways of looking at that same topic. So whatever you believe, go research the opposite of what you believe, and then bring those sources to the classroom. Let's have a discussion about them. Lots of times with critical thinking, it's all about know who your source is, know what are their credentials, and then also know who speaks against what they're saying, who disagrees with them, and learn about them as well. And then you can formulate your own opinion and maybe take it home to the Thanksgiving. I always tell them Thanksgiving's going to be much different this year because you're going to start questioning everything that you've always known to be true your whole life, because you're at college with the very same people that you were told misinformation about. So good luck with Uncle whatever, and please, be kind and be open-minded with what you've learned and what you've been exposed to as compared to what they haven't. So go in with grace and humility, but understand that your critical thinking skills are enhanced now. You really are becoming an evolved human being as far as a lifelong learner. And part of that has to do, I hope, with not only knowing your thoughts and knowing how you think about things, but writing them down and being able to speak them out loud and accurately and clearly so other people can understand you. And other people can either disagree or agree with you. All of those things kind of happen kind of organically in the writing classroom. That's why I probably love teaching writing, is that I get to watch that process.
I love that trope about the Thanksgiving dinner table and how you see people that you may not see all year long. And one of the things that always seems to come out of that is, stories about, well, there was this big argument. But having a discussion with somebody about a topic where you may not agree doesn't necessarily mean it has to be an argument. But I think the important skill there is listening and being able to let people say their piece, not necessarily go and refute it, but parse it in your own mind with your growing sense of critical thinking skills.
Right, right. I tell them to begin with just ask questions. You know, be curious about how other people think about the same things you're thinking about, even when they are different from your own. Be curious, ask questions. You'll learn a lot more about yourself.
That's true, and I've been guilty of it in the past.
Oh, me too, 100%.
Convincing myself that the way I think about something is completely right, and it is humbling, oftentimes, for me to find out that maybe my understanding wasn't exactly correct.
Right.
And we have to be supple with information in the world and not just formulate this bubble that we can crawl into and filter everything else through. So I see you've brought with you a textbook. This is a book that you've written.
Here it is,
This
guys.
is great. This is fantastic.
Pulitzer Prize right there.
Tell me about this book. Why did you write it? How are we using it?
All right. I was approached by a couple of editors for a publishing company. They said, hey, did you ever think about writing a textbook for your students? And I thought, that would be fantastic because I wouldn't have to continue repeating myself, over and over again about certain things that I want students to do or certain certain ways I want them to write. I could just say page 26, just keep repeating page 26. So I wrote it last year. I did a chapter each month, and with each chapter, I did a theme. The first 4 chapters go along with essays they're writing in my college writing class, but every chapter is also has that theme, which I've attached certain literature to, both fiction and nonfiction. So I can also use this book in my literature class, where we still do a little bit of writing in my literature class, but a lot of the authors that I'm using in my lit class, I actually put in the book as well. So, for example, the very first chapter we're finishing this week with their first essay is due. It's all about the connections, the idea, the family. So I had them read Ben Franklin's autobiography. I did an excerpt. I put it in the book because he ran away from his family. He was working for his brother. His brother wasn't very kind to him, and he left, and he fled to New York City where somebody promised him a job. He got there was no job. So then he had to go to Philadelphia. And students are learning, like, you don't just leave home and everything happens for you. There's going to be, bumps along the way through Ben Franklin's piece. They also had a fiction, a short story written in the 1890s by Kate Chopin, one of our leading American women writers, called Desiree's Baby. And it's about the American heritage, the true melting pot of what we were and still are, where our DNA is all intermixed and intertwined with each other so often and so much overlap that it's almost impossible to say that you are one thing and you are only this one thing. You are probably a mix of many things. And that's what that short story kind of reveals at the end. There's like a mystery ending, a sort of shocking ending. So students are writing about their own familial connections. They can write about heritage. They can write about, biological family members. They can write about, their teammates as their family members. But the point of the essay is to connect yourself to your past through your family connections, but then also connect yourself to one of these stories, right? Where you have to actually insert a direct quotation from Ben Franklin or from Kate Chopin. So I'm trying to teach them research and citation. The next essay, they'll have to do outside research on their own. They can't just use my book. So that's where we start doing more of the critical thinking components that are, wrapped around, whatever you believe, find something that's the opposite of what you believe. So the book itself was, conceptualized for the writing class, and then I just expanded it to the literature class by adding in all of these either poems. There's some poem by Edgar Allan Poe in there. There's some Fitzgerald in there. There's Ben Franklin. There's Frederick Douglass. There's even our Declaration of Independence. Do you know how many kids have never read it?
Most,
Right.
I would guess. Most.
So we're going to read it in my class because it's all about, I think it's chapter 3 or 4, freedom and democracy. I want to talk about what freedom means. I want to talk about what it means to live in a democracy. I want them to read the Declaration of Independence. I almost had the Constitution in there, but I took it out because the Bill of Rights just goes on and on and on.
True.
So I thought Declaration of Independence because I like talking about history, and we're coming up on the 250th anniversary of the Revolutionary War, and I'm like, this is all going to tie together for this class, for both my classes, for both semesters. So I like to poke the bear, if you will. I like to talk to students about, how they think and what they think about politics. I like to go down that rabbit hole.
Sure.
Because I want to challenge all of those things, and I want to stir it up a little bit, but I really want them to start forming their own identity separate from the family structure, separate from academia, just them. I really want them to dig deep, you know?
Yeah, and how they fit into the world.
That's right.
Yeah,
So,
and some of those
yeah.
terms you mentioned have been somewhat weaponized in current
Oh,
media.
100%.
Right, and so it's good to go back and try to
Let's define this
actually
stuff.
understand what the founding fathers may have meant by that.
Yes.
And
And I'm starting with Ben Franklin. I mean, you can't get any more founding than that
you
father.
you really can't. A Renaissance man, if America ever had one.
Yeah.
So other news in the English area on Herkimer County Community College is the impending arrival of a new degree program.
We do.
In English.
English major, finally. We finally got it
It's
through.
going to be an AA degree?
It is.
Associate of Arts?
Yes.
Excellent. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. That was
How did that come about?
Matt Powers. I know you said you had him on here before. He's a
previous
genius.
guest on the Generally Speaking
He's a genius.
podcast.
So he wrote the program. And it's kind of been stagnant or lulled. I don't know what happened, where the paperwork just kind of got muddled for us. And there's too many of it. There's 7 of us in the English department. And it got muddled. And I offered to... I'm a really good cross the T's and dot your I's kind of person. I don't mind barging into somebody's office and demanding that they sign this right now, or, hey, I have a question about this. You need to help me fill this out, stuff like that. Matt's a little more polite than I am. I just wanted to get it done. I wanted it in SUNY before the end of last semester.
Right.
I think we got it in there by May or June, which was fine. So I finished writing the program itself, but it's really Matt's baby. He did all of the legwork for it. So it's created to be either a literature emphasis, a creative writing, Andrew Devitt emphasis, or even more rhetoric composition emphasis, which we offer some classes in all of each of those categories. So depending on what students are looking for, they can, pick those classes that go with whatever their interests are. They're not considered concentrations, but they're certainly available for them to take at different semesters. So some are only fall only, some are only spring only. We have a lot of literature classes, so that's where I'm hoping most students kind of go down with that major. But some students are more creative writers, and they might want more of the writing classes that we offer. So it's going to launch next fall, 2026. I'm hoping we have a big party. I want a ribbon cutting. I need a room with some books in it. I need it to be big, and I want it all over the news. I want it all over.
Snacks and drinks.
More than snacks. I'm thinking like lamb kebabs and stuff. Like, I want this to be a big deal, because I feel like one of the things that's changed about the students is, I know that technology and IT is like the big majors. We have a lot of growing majors in art, humanities, in communications, and I believe this English degree is going to attract a lot of students. Psychology too. I believe that the students are looking more towards those empathetic type career paths. They want to do something that brings them joy and fulfillment, right? And not that a computer can't, or maybe engineering can't do those things. That's where maybe the salary is the attraction for a lot of students. Where with humanities or English or communications, I feel like that's people's passions. That's where people, we need technology, right? We need lights, we need cameras and action. But we really need poetry, and we need art to actually live in
That's
a human.
true. We've had a tremendous emphasis in this country for a number of years now on STEM programs, which are very, very important.
They are,
especially if we're going to
100%.
try to remain relevant on the world stage.
Yep.
But I think there's also been a new recognition of the liberal arts writ large. Those things that do make us human, not just those things that help us build, skyscrapers and rocket ships. That stuff's terrific.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you have to be able to go home and have a conversation with somebody about something other than a slide rule.
Right.
And that's not a knock at our math friends. It's not at all. But now, especially somebody who might be going on to a 4-year program.
Right.
Here you can come to Herkimer, take 2 years, ignite your passion, which sounds like a slogan, but really this is one of the great things about college is figuring out how to do things and how to do things better, and what you might like, or learning things that you never knew existed before.
I always tell people, I think the English major is for the kids who may be on the cusp, but they don't really know what they want to do. Think about it. What employer doesn't want somebody who can read and write well? You can get any job pretty much with an English degree, because you're a good writer, you're a good communicator.
Right.
You've written tons and tons of papers. You probably did a lot of presentations. And you're a good critical thinker and a good reader. So I don't know what employer wouldn't want any of those qualifications. Just look around at some of the job descriptions where writing and reading is part of, what you will be doing every single day. I don't know why the English major wouldn't be even the most popular on campus because of that fact. So, and also it might be a precursor for other majors like law, to become a lawyer. I would even say if you're going to go on to a master's, let's say in business, like an MBA, you're going to want to know how to do research. You're going to want to know how to read all those textbooks and stuff. And that's where English can really help a student out. So yes, I'm hoping we attract a big population of students just for that baseline for them. Not that they all want to be English teachers, because there's more to English major than that.
Sure. And you talked about some of the skills that one would take away from throwing oneself into this. They're not all of the soft skills. We always hear that phrase a lot talked about now, especially in the world of employment. Well, we want people that have the soft skills, but they're not just soft skills. Some of those are really critically important. And one of the things I've always had an opportunity to tell my students in the various media degree programs is nothing you see on TV or hear a commercial, a movie, a TV show, everything was written, right? None of that is spur of the moment. Now, a lot of social media content really is, right? And there it is, and it has a function and a purpose, but the really high quality stuff and the part that makes culture was written by somebody, written and revised and reviewed before anybody turns on a camera or a microphone. So
that's right. This podcast will be reviewed and edited.
It sure will.
Yeah.
It
and
surely will.
We wrote some stuff down.
Absolutely, yes. Taking notes right here. Can you talk about ALP?
Yeah.
What is ALP?
ALP is my baby. So I think it was 2020 or 2021. I can't remember when we started it. I was sent to Washington, D.C. to a conference to learn about developmental English. A lot of kids are coming out of high school and not prepared to write college essays. And they shouldn't have a whole class in developmental English before they can take the regular English class. Puts them behind, right? So they came up with this model, this co-requisite model, where you take dev writing with regular writing at the same time with the same teacher. So instead of just one class with that one teacher, you would have two. More successful students are coming out of this program, a lot more retention. We're able to actually hold them here because they kind of get used to the one teacher that they have twice. Plus, they feel a little bit more confident in their other classes where they're asked to do a lot of reading and writing. So we tend to retain those students. So ELP is kind of like this wraparound service, almost like I was talking earlier about ASAP. I work with Alicia Bowman, Dr. Bowman, in her ASAP program with my ELP program. We kind of merge those together to make sure that we're giving the students who need the extra support as much as they need or want with ELP. So basically, any college writing class that you're taking on this campus right now, if you struggle to finish the paper or edit the paper, or you don't even know how to think of the topic, you should ask for the ELP section, and you should want to be in the ELP section, which is another hour with that same professor, where you can actually work one-on-one with the teacher, or they have class, but they might be able to move around a little bit more. There's only 10 students in those sections, so they might be able to move around a little bit more and work one-on-one with you. So that's what the ELP program was supposed to do and how it was created. And we're hoping at some point we're going to be able to get into the Writing Center for that class, where we actually teach the class from the Writing Center, where there will be Writing Center tutors that will be there with us while we're teaching, so they can move around the classroom too. The other day we were doing a writing exercise in my regular college writing class, and 2 or 3 students needed my help at the same time. That's where I can see the Writing Center as a very valuable asset to the ELP program, where we can work, in the same room with multiple people who can move around and help students when they need. How do I write this topic sentence, or does this paragraph sound okay? Like, they just want some feedback while they're doing the writing, in real time, instead of, well, I'll look at it tonight and I'll give it back to you tomorrow. It's kind of, you missed the point.
Have you gotten feedback from students about their success in the ALP program? Does it seem to be something that's
I think
that's
so.
taking?
I've looked at the data and stuff. So a lot of the ELP kids who go through the program actually they're a little more, I think 40% more successful than the kids who don't take ELP in the 111 classes. Yeah. So we actually do have really good ratings. And there's one particular guy, Robert. He's, I think, in a master's degree program now in psychology. So he started in our ELP program. He was the first year I actually ever taught it. So I get a lot of feedback from him all the time. We're Facebook friends now.
Sure.
So yes, I feel like I get a lot of feedback from folks, and it's all positive. They feel like, that they had that extra class with me back then, that it just kind of helped, I guess I call it the baseline, you know, this reading and writing thing, because you do a little bit more breakdown of basic concepts in the developmental section, where you kind of break down the sentence instead of just the paragraph or the whole essay. You break down the sentence, and you kind of, we haven't had grammar in the American education system like since 5th or 6th grade.
Right,
So
that's
a
right.
lot of these students have forgotten that stuff.
Sure.
It's important that we remind them of, hey, don't forget there's a beginning and a middle and an end to a sentence, right? We have to make sure that they do that. And I think that extra hour is where we're able to break that stuff down and get into that kind of, that I don't know. To me, it's groundwork, it's basics, and it's important that we all have it. And I don't think everybody does. That's why I'm so passionate about ALP. I just want it to continue.
If people had it, here is an opportunity to refresh and to build on it and carry it forward, as the fellow Robert did, right?
That's right.
Yeah, he's taking it all the way forward.
Yes, he is.
Lisa, is there anything else in your mind you want to get off your chest today? Anything at all?
You shouldn't have asked me that.
Well, I've run out of questions now, and I want to give people a chance to talk, so it isn't always about what I'm asking about.
All right. So I have a very close friend doing the micro-credential in digital content.
Yeah,
Is that
excellent.
what it's called?
Yeah.
Loving it.
Sure,
I want to plug Blake's hard work, Blake Pictures.
Listen, I'm always willing to.
And you were a part of that micro-credential. I believe you helped him put this together.
We both did it. We got a lot of help from our supervisor, Bill McDonald.
Bill McDonald's awesome.
I think the micro-credential programs, and I hope we expand that to more program areas on our campus. And I'm never going to miss an opportunity to praise Blake Pitcher. He's one of the very bright lights on this campus. He really is.
He is. And the person who's doing all of the 3 of these classes in this one semester right now is loving it, enjoying the hobby. She's turned it from a hobby to hopefully a career. And she can't say enough good things about the way the courses are built, the way the program was all put together, how the 3 classes feed off of each other.
That's right.
And of course, Blake's, constant. He's always responding in a timely manner. It's a great micro-credential for anyone who's looking for online. I just want, some kind of certificate or, is it a badge they get or is it a certificate?
There is the sort of micro-credential badge that you can get and put in your LinkedIn page or something like that. But
I think it's important for the resume. You can throw this micro-credential on your resume.
And that particular micro-credential, I think, has terrific applicability to any kind of career field. Anywhere you have to deal with information in that digital realm. So,
right. It's huge.
That's such great feedback to hear.
I just want to make sure I plug that micro-credential, because I really feel like that should blow up right now with all of the jobs sourcing that's out there.
That's right.
As far as they're all looking for digital content creators, guess what? Blake has a micro-credential in that very field. That should be overflowing with students trying to get that micro-credential to add to whatever degrees they're working on as well.
Sure.
I think it's huge, and I think it's important that we plug it.
These guys in the communication and media major who happen to be in the room with us are all eligible to
this?
qualify for that micro-credential in addition to their degree program that they're also pursuing. So
wonderful.
Yeah.
Check it out, guys.
Excellent.
She's loving it. She's having a great time, and she's taking her passion and trying to turn it into a career. So
fantastic.
I think it's great.
Lisa, this has been a great conversation here on the Generally Speaking podcast. I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day today to come here. I'd like to remind people, just for official sake, today we're recording this on September 24th of 2025, and people need to know that just in case
what day it is.
The weather changes or something crazy happens.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for thinking that I had something important to say. I was a little shocked that you invited me, but I'm really glad you did.
Well,
I really don't.
I think it'll be self-evident to
I'm
anybody
so boring.
watching the podcast.
They're all going to be falling asleep.
No, very grateful for your time. And
All right.
I want to thank everybody out there for watching this episode of the Generally Speaking podcast. Be sure to check us out on the Instagram and the Facebook and the YouTube channel. And the General, the student newspaper of Herkimer County Community College, right over my shoulder. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you again soon.